Welcome. We are live here on Zoom and on YouTube. Welcome to another installment of MSP Webinars. I'm Steve Taylor. I'm the host. You're going to see random people on today's, just like you did on last week's. This is Sales Role Playing Part 2. So last week we practiced making cold calls and cold drop-ins and walk-ins to try to get an appointment. Today, we're sitting down in that appointment. So I want you to have, I want you to kind of think about, what do you offer your clients when you sit down with them and say, hey, or I'm sorry, not even clients. What do you offer your prospects when you sit down with them and say, hey, you need to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars with me every month, and here's why. So we're just going to kind of dive right in. Let's see, who all do we have in here? Jason, are you with us today? He may or may not be speaking. Ian, I know you're here.
Maybe.
So Ian, talk to me a little bit about your business. How many new clients have you picked up in the last 12 months or so?
4 or 5, not actively seeking.
Okay. And with those 4 or 5s, ballpark, how many new endpoints was that overall?
4 or 5 each, let's say.
Okay. So we're looking at 20 to 25 new endpoints that you've installed.
Yeah.
Okay. And just in case people are curious, Ian hails from the United States of Canada. Okay, that might not actually be a place. I'm sorry, I lied. So he does come from Canada. So I don't know what the exchange rate is on Canadian agents versus United States agents. But I think he's deployed 15 United States agents. All right.
Maple syrup subsidy.
Yes, the maple syrup subsidy. I forgot about that. All right. So with that, how many potential clients, prospects, leads, whatever, have you spoken with in the last 12 months?
Combining those together, 7, 8, 9. In the
So
sense of it's not actively in the sense of where you're going with this. It's not that scenario. It's been more opportunistic as opposed to.
Sounds
target.
like it's been referrals.
It's been referrals, opportunistic, incidental conversations, taking the car in to get fixed at a smaller shop, and an incidental conversation happens when I open the trunk and they ask what all the stuff is.
Gotcha. So, Shiva, are you back with us?
Yes, sir.
All right, Shiva, in the last 12 months, now I just want to clarify, Shiva switched from break fix to MSP in the last 6 or so months.
I still do break fix.
Well, he added MSP to his toolkit. So in the last 12 months, how many new companies have become your clients? Ballpark.
New companies?
Yes.
Or conversions from consulting AR?
Brand spanking new.
I can pull that metric up for you. Hold on. $37
new companies have become clients.
Yes.
Ballpark of those 37 clients, how many agents do you think have been deployed across all of them total?
I can tell you how many users.
Okay.
About 1,300.
1,300 new users, 37 clients. How many companies have you sat down in front of to try and have them become new clients?
Amongst myself and the sales guys,
Mm-hmm.
no less than 125.
But it could be more than 125.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Okay. But we're not talking like 250.
No, not yet.
Okay, so it sounds like the close rate for Ian is going to be a lot different than the close rate for Shiva, because Ian's inbound prospects have all been referrals, whereas Shiva, it sounds like a lot of yours have probably been outbound sales, along with some light referrals from the gal that you have that does medical equipment.
So all the sales agent I have who sells medical equipment, I consider that all outbound because she's going out and looking for it. She's
Okay.
not internal to my company. She works for another company and she gets a commission for sending business my way. We get a lot of referrals from our law firm clients. That works out pretty well. But the bulk of our business comes from, going out and eating what you kill.
Fair enough. I know in my own personal life, I don't eat what I kill. I eat what others kill and prepackaged for me at the grocery store. If I could find a way to do that in sales for my business, I would probably be a lot more successful. I think it's a lot. A lot of people are like that, though, right?
Yes and no. I think I have a good friend. He wants to start an MSP, and he's not good with sales. So I told him, go onto Indeed, go onto Craigslist, post an ad, find people to do sales for you. If you can't do it, find someone that will.
Fair enough. So today with the sales role playing, we're going to practice. Each of us are going to take turns. We're going to practice sitting down in front of a prospect, and I think we'll have Shiva be the prospect today, just all the time, because as you see, 1,300 new agents in the last year or so.
6 months. Well, since I would say August of last year.
1,300 new users since August. I think he's a good person to help us hone our skills. So I'd like for each of us to just simply take turns. And then Shiva, while we're doing this, even in the middle, like, you can give your objection and then feel free to give some feedback. Like, maybe next time you should say this instead because XYZ. Does that seem okay?
I'll even take notes.
Oh my gosh, he's even going to take notes, guys. This is getting serious. All right, so I'll go ahead and start and embarrass myself the most first. This is going to go anything but well, okay? So, hi there, Shiva. I'm Steve. Thanks for sitting down with me today.
Thank you for coming in. What can I do for you?
Well, we spoke on the phone briefly about, me coming in and just getting to know your company better and seeing if there's a way for me to help you out. Let's just do that. Let's just have a conversation. Two guys getting to know each other and their businesses better, and let me understand your company better. So I see, I did a little bit of research. I see that you are a manufacturing company, and it looks like you've got around 30 employees. What I'm not able to see when I do my research, though, is how many of those employees are using computers much of the day.
At least half of them are using computers.
Okay.
Day-to-day basis.
So with those people that are using computers, do you feel like they are having issues with the computers on a regular basis?
Not that I can ascertain.
Okay. Do you ever feel like they could be more productive?
Every single day.
Okay. So what kind of productivity issues are you running into with your team?
I want them to sell more product.
Okay. And what type of steps do they take with their technology to sell more product?
We use Salesforce.
Okay. So do you ever have issues where maybe the internet goes down and people aren't able to connect to Salesforce?
No, we have a Cradle Point or something like that from Verizon.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Do you ever have issues where maybe the computers just are going really slow for the people?
No,
Nobody ever complains about their computers to you?
not really.
This isn't going well, Shiva. So here's where I'm at. Like right now, I'm starting to panic inside. Like nothing is going well for me right now. And I'm just sitting here expecting you to just start singing all of the complaints that you're having in your business, and you're not. You're staying closed up.
I think in sales, you need to be able to pivot. If
Can I comment?
not working, and let's say your approach is, let's handle the now, maybe you should switch it up and ask, well, what are your plans for the future? Where do you want your company to grow to and become? Okay, great. You want to triple sales, blah, 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 blah. How do you plan on doing that? Is your technology scalable, or are you able to get there with the current technology you have?
Aha.
And then you get them into that. So you get some project work, you get some MRR. Everyone.
Okay. So we'll pivot. So it sounds like things are working pretty well for you right now, Shiva. Where do you see your company in the next 3 years or so?
We'd like to start acquiring smaller companies in our industry.
Okay. And as you do that, are you looking for other companies that do exactly the same thing that you do, or that maybe would complement what you do, so that way you can expand the different types of industries and clients you're able to obtain?
I would say both.
Okay. And as of today, if you were to acquire a company, would your technology that you have in place allow you to simply just kind of plug that new company in and keep working without any issues, or would there be some challenges?
I have no idea.
Okay. Well, maybe that's something that we should look into with you, so that way you can, if your goal is really to have, new acquisitions in the next 36 months or so, it wouldn't hurt to start preparing for that stuff now, especially when it comes to technology and budgeting for the future changes you may need to make with your technology.
Okay.
So would you say that was a reasonable enough pivot the way I did that there, Shiva?
I think so.
Okay. And then, so where I get stuck is, all right, so now I've got you agreeing to something, but it's not necessarily you've agreed to, hand me your checkbook. You've just simply agreed that we're at least both thinking on the same lines.
Correct.
So how do I take that conversation? I've now pivoted to get you to agree with me on something. How do I take that to the next step?
You should probably ask to speak to whoever's in charge of IT, if it's not me, and try to go through the system to get as much information as you can to then put together a proposal you can bring to me, not send to me.
Okay. And I remember you saying that before, Shiva. You always want to put the proposal in front of them physically.
Yeah.
So that way you can have a conversation about exactly that. You guys can have a conversation. You can answer any of the questions that come up as they read through the proposal in front of you, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you may not even just sit there quietly as they read it. You'll probably just kind of walk them through the mile-high overview of the proposal, right?
Yeah, you want to walk them through it, because anyone gets a proposal, the first thing they're going to do is go to the back and look at the price.
Yeah,
you want to try to guide and lead that conversation as much as possible to get them so excited about the new project, venture, this, that, or whatever. And by the time they get to the price, it's moot.
So here's okay. So I'm going back to, we just agreed on something. So Shiva, are you the person that mainly handles the technology in your business, or is that somebody else?
No, that's me.
Okay. What I think would be beneficial is I'd like to, sit down with you in front of some systems, maybe your servers, and at no cost to you, I would like to do a general assessment, figure out what type of software and hardware you're working with, so that way I can give you a proposal of what you may need as you make. What was that?
How long would that take?
I imagine it would take about an hour or two of your time. And
a long time.
that is a long time. I typically say it like that just because I know a lot of people, they want to make sure that
you gotta go in and out 30 minutes. There's not much more you can do outside of that you need to do that won't take you on or about 30 minutes. And anyone who's going to talk to me about network, what is that tool everyone's using these days?
Oh, you mean the network detective tool?
Yeah, it's a waste of time. Everyone's using it. And most of that, it's just reams of paper that no one's ever going to read.
Well, that's the beauty. I don't actually use that tool, Shiva, because it's exactly what you said. It is literally, dozens, if not hundreds of sheets of paper of metrics that you don't care about. So I would rather, physically look at your systems and just, take an actual human being assessment and not let some software make some guesses for you.
Here's my question for you. We're selling MSP on this webinar, right? MSP, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Every company should have it.
Yeah, absolutely.
If that's the case, then you shouldn't even really have to look at a computer for more than a couple seconds to see if it's not. You just need to make sure it's not end of life, the hardware or the software. And that's pretty much it, because in the grand scheme of things, you're going to standardize the client to one of your stacks. So why go in, waste their time for an hour or two or what have you, when it's largely irrelevant, because inside of 2 to 3 months, they will be standardized.
So here's a question for you, Shiva. Do you ever, when you're doing one of these assessments, to make it easier for yourself, have you or do you normally ever put the agent on the server and have it deploy, but have it in like read-only mode to where it's not making any changes?
Yeah. You deploy the agent, you get a quick inventory, and all you need the inventory for is to poke around the AD, find out how many users.
Okay.
I sell per user. I don't sell per device. So I've crafted a stack where the bulk of my licensing is per user.
Gotcha. So at that point, you might only look at their servers to see exactly what they've got going on.
Yeah.
And you may just do a quick visual inspection while you're walking around the place to get to the servers to make sure that their computers aren't ancient.
Yeah. But if they are, I'm not one of these MSPs that's going to go and say, okay, your computers are 7 years old, you have to change them.
Right.
They work. Okay. Until recently, I didn't care about SSD storage.
Right.
I'm used to the enterprise. So when you're telling me the cost delta between SSD and HDD is $150, $200, extrapolate that across 1,500, 1,700 PCs. That's a lot of money. So, if it works, it works. And I get that you want to mitigate how many tickets you deal with, but if you're as automated as you should be, deal with it.
I like it. So does everyone have a good idea of what we've accomplished here so far?
Take a look at the chat.
Let's see. Holy crap, 1,300. That's my favorite chat of the day so far. So Jonathan is meeting with someone tomorrow to act as their new full-time salesperson.
208K in MRR. Is that what you're looking for, Jonathan?
I think he's implying that's what you sold.
And okay.
I could be wrong. I think
based on
that's
yesterday, not yesterday, but the last webinar there, when we were talking about your pricing scheme, I just sort of extrapolated what I thought it would be, and I figured that probably made sense.
Yep, 160 buy, but I have some clients on a security stack that goes at $100 per user.
But even still, at 100 per user, you're still looking at 130,000 of monthly recurring revenue.
Right.
So I think it's safe to say we all want you to show us your ways, which you're doing a good job so far.
I hope so.
All right. So Matthew said it's like a one-way conversation. Matthew, could you elaborate on that? Because I just want to make sure I know which part of all of this you were referring to. Were you referring to the fact that I'm terrible at sales and wouldn't stop talking? And then I see Ian said 95% of all conversations of this type are one way unless you can get them excited.
100% agree with that. You have to listen to them. Sorry, Ian, go ahead.
You need to find something. Most business owners I find are excited to tell you about what they do. So one of the ones that I do, and it's been the opportunistic as opposed to the cold calling, is giving the opportunity to talk about their business. Tell me what you do. How long have you been doing this? Oh, I looked you up on LinkedIn and I saw you did this before. Oh yeah, I started my own business and this. Like, get them talking about it first. People like to tell their story as opposed to hear you yammer on about yours. So if you can get them excited or get them into something, or letting them vent. One of the ones that I'll do is, what do you love about technology? It's always bothering me, blah, blah, blah. Okay, what's your greatest frustration, or what drives you nuts about the technology that you got, or what drives you nuts about your phone? Something. Let them vent and let them tell a bit of a story, and how does that impact you? And that way, I generally let them say as many of the words as possible in the conversation. And more often than not, that first sit down for me is just scribbling down information or mental notes or gathering information about what they're doing or what they're up to.
And honestly, that's one of the things I always forget to do. Like, I understand I'm supposed to ask an open-ended question, but you'll notice like just about everything I asked Shiva was like a yes or a no question. And that's just because I get nervous. Like I have such bad anxiety when it comes to sales. I can't even pretend to sell Shiva right now.
And you'll say Shiva is very good at giving the cold yes and no answers. Is that a fair way to say it, Shiva?
Yeah, I like to be concise. I don't like to waste time, and I just saves you time, saves me time.
So
maybe I'm not the ideal person to be the test case. I can listen in and give my 2 cents where needed, but maybe Ian should be the client.
Well, we'll change things up shortly. Just real quick though, it is 1:25, and we've got a few people that joined us after we got started. So today we're doing sales role playing. This is part 2. Part 1 was on Thursday, and you can watch that on YouTube. Part 1 was when we took turns, cold calling, each other here in Zoom, but we were cold calling the prospect and trying to get a meeting. Today we have that meeting. So we're taking turns, basically practicing selling managed services, or I'm not even going to say because this is MSP webinars. We're practicing selling managed services. So for the few of you that right now are attendees, Andre, Gregory, and William, I am going to promote you to panelists, just so that way you have the opportunity to speak and be seen. I would love if you could participate, but if you don't want to, I don't blame you. You can just keep yourself muted and your camera off. Shiva?
I do want to address Jason and spending $20,000 to replace everything. We do hardware as a service, and that include networking devices and infrastructure devices. PCs and servers we typically do not do. if they are if they don't have an Active Directory, no matter what size they have, we'll put in a server as a service, but that's still the standard $160 per month per user, because the benefit I reap from creating an Active Directory and using that to manage everything far surpasses the cost of the server.
So Matthew said, you're going to rip and replace most of this stuff. I agree with Shiva. Who cares what they have? And that's a good point. I'm still stuck in my old ways.
Adapt.
I need to stop it. And then I believe this is Matt who said, I do visual assessments. Unless it looks insanely bad or old, I sell MSP. Just update later on a project basis.
So
Jonathan does the same. He finds it's better to build that trust before trying to sell devices.
So here's a question for you guys. What's the biggest barrier to entry for what we do? For a client, at least.
Myself.
Okay, after you then. Money.
Clients that I'll pick on a client I have that's a time and materials or a break fix client, and I bought this computer 6 years ago. I bought Microsoft Office for it at the Staples, Best Buy, whatever, for the home office edition for $220, and I'm just going to use it until it's driven into the ground. That philosophy.
I think
It's very true.
at that point, you just have to decide whether or not that client is a right fit for you. If they're not willing to make those minor modifications, being, professional grade operating system versus home, then it's probably not worth it for you. To me, the biggest hurdle I've seen was the initial cash outlay. Who wants to go spend, $30,000 on onboarding and then $30,000 for the next month of service? You're talking $60,000 there. So what I did was I removed the onboarding fee and I increased my per user cost.
And I
term?
agree with removing the onboarding fee only because in one of the past webinars we've done, a successful MSP, Paul Vetter, yes, he mentioned that why should he penalize a company for becoming a new client? Why is he charging an onboarding fee?
See, I don't agree with that rationale. I think that's a really sweet marketing tool to go to a client and say, I'm not going to charge you to be my client. Yeah, it's marketing, whatever. Appeal to the business. It's cash flow. Would you rather spend $60,000 or $30,000 or $6,000 or $3,000? I think that's really what you have to show is the value that you will give them in the long term. I haven't been doing this long enough, but they don't see the results from us till maybe 3 to 6 months in, I would say. Noise goes down in the beginning, but to really understand what we do for them, it takes time.
Do you have a term commitment, Shiva?
Yes, sir.
Do you have a term commitment?
3 year.
And is that based off the fact that you are putting in or essentially financing one way or another the hardware as a service for the security?
Even if I was not doing hardware as a service, it would still be 3 years. Realistically, we know what hardware costs. And I'll tell you flat out, I use Datto network devices. Not that costly.
And we're not going to turn this into a why on earth are you using whatever product you're using discussion.
Matthew, yes, it is enforceable. I have an arbitration clause in there. So there is no going to court, chancery division, or what have you. It's arbitration by a state judge. I don't do AAA arbitration because if they don't show up and pay, there is no arbitration. You're stuck.
So what I'd like to do is now that we've seen the bad salesperson, not like an evil, he's just really bad at sales. Let's see the good salesperson. Let's switch this around. Shiva, how about?
I think Ian should pitch me.
Huh?
I think Ian should pitch me.
I think you should pitch me.
Okay.
And I'm going to try and be as terrible as possible.
Okay.
All right.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
Oh, well, thanks.
Good.
Thank you for taking the time for me today.
Yeah. I've got a lot going on, man. So I know you said you wanted to sit down. Let's do this.
If you are pressed for time today, how about this? You just let me onto one of your computers, let me take a look around, and we can reconvene after the fact since I don't want to take too much of your time.
Yeah, I don't even know you. Like, is there something for me to sign? Like, how do I know you're not just some, crazy Indian guy that put some virus on my computer?
Well, why do you think I'm Indian? I can be Spanish. I can be Latino. I mean, why you got to be so racist?
Told you I was going to be terrible. Come on, man.
We have an NDA we can sign for you.
Okay. And how do I know you're not going to install some type of malicious code onto my?
You or someone you trust can actually control the computer. We'll just sit there and ask you to do certain things.
Okay. I can think of no reason to say no to you right now, Shiva. Why did you have to turn this around and make it so easy? All right, fine. You know what? I'll tell you what. Go ahead. You can use my receptionist computer and poke around and see what you can see.
Okay. Just give me 5-10 minutes and I'll be back.
Super.
Okay, now I'm back.
Okay, good.
So the first thing I noticed is your admin's computer has administrator privileges. So she can pretty much go anywhere and see anything on your network.
Okay. I don't see a problem with that.
Do you accept credit cards?
Yeah.
I think you may have a PCI compliance issue. And
I don't even know what that means.
that means they can come and revoke your credit card processing. And then how will you get paid? How is that going to affect your cash flow?
Well, I mean, right now it just sounds like you're trying to scare me. What kind of compliance issue do you think I have here?
Well, client payment information is readily available to anyone on the network. If you have a client that comes in here and they join your guest network, they can see your entire billing platform.
So you're telling me I use QuickBooks Online with QuickBooks Payment Services. You're telling me that my credit card numbers are just laying around on a hard drive somewhere on my computer?
Yes, because your admin is printing them to a PDF on her computer.
Well, it sounds like I should fire my admin.
That's between you and HR. Or we can train her.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What right now I'm just mad at my admin. Do you see any actual computer issues? Or is it just a bunch
Your
of
computers have not been updated in, what do they say here, 3 years?
Okay,
You
so
have no antivirus. You're pretty much wide open.
I've got antivirus. I mean, I got this Defender thing on my computer. I think we got AVG on my admins.
But you have to update those on a regular basis, not once every decade.
I mean, I don't go to any like porn or anything, so I don't have to worry about
I didn't
viruses.
take a look at your browsing history, but I think what we should discuss is how we can align your technology needs with where you'd like to go in the future with your company. Is that something you're amenable to?
I mean, I guess, man, I don't know. This is starting to sound pretty expensive, and like, I don't really have a lot of cash laying around here. I mean, it's an adult sex toy store. I mean, what do you want from me here, man?
That's okay. We do ACH payments. It doesn't need to be cash. We have a fully managed subscription that we can put you on, and within 2 months have you near perfectly aligned to do business and scale for the future.
Now, my brother-in-law, he's an IT guy, and he told me that I shouldn't update my computers because it just makes them all slow. and I don't want to have slow computers. So like, you know,
Well, it's okay. You're not running Apple iPhone, so I think you'll be okay with updating.
that was what's sad is Shiva and I both use iPhones, by the way. I think you and I both have the iPhone 10, right?
Yep. I think, quite honestly, it's hard to sell like this because I can see you laughing and I know it's not real. But
Yeah.
what you really need to focus on is what the client is saying and try to just keep pivoting to get them to where you need to go. It's not just one path to get there.
That's really hard to like remember though when you're in the moment.
What's the alternative?
Starting an MSP webinars website and all right, so Ian, Jonathan nailed it.
What did Jonathan say?
What did Jonathan? He said Jonathan said nailed it.
Oh,
After I said starting an MSP webinars
I was
website.
looking at Jonathan here. The reason I choose Datto over Unify is I can brick a Datto. I cannot brick a Unify. And a 48-port switch is about $450 upfront plus $8 a month, give or take, for this license. Whereas a Unify 48-port PoE switch is probably in the $800 range.
So the purpose that you use it for, though, is primarily the fact that you can, if they're not paying, you can brick that device. Okay.
Any hardware that goes in as a service, I need to make sure it's near impossible, preferably impossible, for another provider to come in, hit a little reset button, and reconfigure.
Okay.
Excellent. So Errol said in the first role play, I should have focused on what you said about acquiring other businesses and how experienced we are and how we can make them smooth transactions for you. But I'm not experienced in that, so why would I lie? Errol's typing.
No.
To be fair, there's not a lot of difference between doing like helping with the transition of an M&A over onboarding a new client, right? Really, all you're doing is onboarding a new client under you and then linking the two systems. There's really not that much of a difference. So you can still be honest and say, like, I haven't dealt directly with an M&A, but I do know that it is identical in almost every way to just onboarding a new client. And we do that all the time.
Yeah. I think the biggest issue anyone's going to have is merging company cultures and data migration eventually, because if they're smart, they're not going to run two different systems concurrently.
One of the questions would be at that point would be to determine their philosophy on acquisitions. Whether you say I'm looking to acquire, does that mean I'm looking to start acquiring, or does that mean I'm always looking and I have already been acquiring? And then the direction or feeler from that point is to determine what your philosophy is on acquiring. Like, yes, running two systems forever is expensive unless you run it as a completely standalone subsidiary. But I've seen auto body shops up here where one of the national chains is buying up all the small shops, and basically on day one of acquisition is, we will send you the firewall, we will send you a network switch, we will send you the printers, we will send you the tiny PC or the Chrome box for putting the stats on the wallboard in the auto repair bay. So is your philosophy on acquisition leave it as it is and try and merge things, or is it more of we want business in a box? We want to parachute in a kit. And either one of those has a sales pitch merit of we can manage them as a customer for you, but work towards integration, or we can work to build with you a cookie cutter template that we can provide, and we can drop ship to any location that you're acquiring.
I have some
So-
thoughts on that.
Here's something that we do before we go on site. We will put together a 9U rack with all of our equipment on it, bench tested. And it's usually 2 guys doing the onboarding. They'll take it in, put 4 screws on the wall, mount the rack, and then just plug everything in. That's part of the pitch to the client, is that we prepare beforehand to minimize your downtime with the onboarding. And what we've actually been doing in recent months is going in on the weekends, doing the onboarding when the client isn't there. Let them come in and have near 100% uptime.
So what I'd like to do is let's do another role play. Let's have let's have Ian and Shiva go at this now.
We should open it up to the audience.
Well, is there anybody here that is interested in being a guinea pig? How about Vera? See he's in here.
A hush falls over the crowd.
He's
How about you, Greg? Ian, I think you should pitch Greg.
That's an excellent idea. Greg, are you able to go on mic and cam?
I can go on cam right now. I can go on mic.
All right. So is Ian pitching Greg, or is Greg pitching Ian?
I think Greg pitches Ian.
All right.
Oh, I think you should probably go the other way. So here's my situation though, is I'm not an MSP. I'm acquiring an MSP. So I'm learning the space. This is why I attend these sessions and stuff like this. I'm trying to learn the business from people who have years of experience in it.
Yeah.
But if somebody wants to hit me and see if they could sell me, I'd go for it. I'm a tough sell.
I think we put Errol to sell Greg.
Errol's on a train.
Errol can't.
I was on a plane yesterday. Does that count?
I was in an automobile earlier.
There you go.
I'm just sitting at my desk. How about Ian? You go for it.
Go for it, Ian. I have faith.
Okay. Set the stage. What's your business? Just what am I walking into? Like, are you an accountant? What's your...
Okay, so we are a engineering firm, and
Okay.
we are expanding internationally, and we are acquiring 2 other companies as part of that process. One of those companies is a manufacturing facility, and the other one is a consultancy.
Okay, and do I know that coming in? I've either seen that on press releases or something like that.
So assuming, if I understand, this is week 2, so you've already made the cold call and made the appointment. So in that time, you've either some basic fact finding during the cold call, or you've been able to do some online research to prepare yourself ahead of time. So you know
Okay.
that information.
So, oh, I hate these. Yay. First off, thank you for your time. I'm going to say a lot, and I know I need a bell to go ding. Through a little bit of research, we've done a little bit of searching on your company. We've seen some press releases, and we found that you're growing, which is absolutely fabulous. It's wonderful to see local companies that are spreading out and growing. One of the things with growth is always challenges. You're going to find quite often that when you're growing, you're going to run into, I'm totally botching this way. Yeah. Can I start again?
Reset. Let me give you a little additional background then to help get you going, to get you a little primer. One of the things that we've identified through previous conversation or email exchange is that the manufacturing company is outdated and really doesn't have any internal infrastructure. It's more of a manual process than anything automated. A lot of legacy. What little hardware there is legacy, and it's an old business, and they've just never really gotten with the times. And so our interest is to be able to modernize and automate to just kind of help us manage that plant remotely. The consultancy is basically a couple of guys who got together and formed a company and just kind of brought whatever they had to the table, and they're all over the place. One guy uses his Mac laptop, the other guys are using Windows. They have a simple file share on an old PC that's sitting in the back room, and there's no, and they're running off of a wireless ISP because they're in a small town.
Okay. So thank you for this meeting. We spoke about a week ago and set up this time. And what I'd like to do is have a very short chat with you, find out a little more detail about where you're going with things and what you're looking to achieve. I know you've got some acquisitions in your pipeline, and from that, acquisitions can always be headaches and bothersome. So one of the things we like to do is simplify processes as much as possible, streamline them so that you focus on the actual business acquisition side of things. We work in partnership with clients and ensure that the process goes as smoothly as possible so that when you're ready to go or when you take over or do the acquisition, things just kick into gear. So previously you mentioned that there's two companies coming on. One is a manufacturing division that has a lot of 21st century catch up to do. And the other is a consultant team that has been very much working in the small business mindset, where they've got the individual setups and they've just grown to the point that they're appropriate to be acquired. With that, what are you looking at achieving out of this acquisition? What are you looking at having happen when you're all said and done? What's your happy vision?
So the biggest problem that we know that we're already having just in getting all the companies on board is that we have no way to communicate effectively with the manufacturing plant. They don't check their emails on a regular basis. They're on an old phone system that doesn't tie into ours. So we can't just pick up and dial an extension like we do here. We have to call everybody's cell phones and hope that they're in part of the building that they get a signal and they can answer it. And then we just, if we need to see what kind of jobs and orders are running, we have to call somebody to find out that information. And then for the guys who are going to do our sales and marketing consultant team for us, they're always having problems with, one guy works on his Apple, and the guys on Windows, and us here at the main office, we have problems sometimes with the file formats not opening. And if one guy is out traveling and we can't access the project that he's working on, so we have no way. We have to wait for him to get to a hotel or something before he can email us the information that we need. So it's causing us here to delay in speaking with the customers and just kind of keeping everything coordinated so that we know where everything's at in the process and we can update the customer when they have questions. And then here in our headquarters, we have pretty much just some Dell workstations. There's 3 of us who have some laptops that we use so we can work from home. But we don't have any good way to keep everything connected. So, if I'm working, out of a hotel somewhere, I have to have somebody email me the documents off our file server if I forget to download them before I go to the airport.
So if I can paraphrase all of that and really boil it down, and by boiling it down, I'm not meaning to boil it down to simplify or trivialize it. What I'm really hearing as a consistent theme is there's a lack of communication methods and efficiency among the different entities of the business. Is that a fair way to sum it up?
Yeah, we just can't talk across organizations and each other.
And is that costly in terms of image, in terms of time, in terms of reputation, in terms of lost orders, or all the above? Is there one area that really hurts more than the others for what you're doing and where you are right now?
Well, it really is all of the above, because if the customer's calling me for an update on a status or project, or they want to make a change to something, it could take me a couple hours or even a day or two to get that spread throughout the organization or sent back to me so I can respond back to the customer. So it's really not good customer service. And then of course that costs money, because we have to spend so much time, stopping what we're doing so that somebody else, I have to have one of my architects go and copy something off a server so that he can email it to me at the hotel, and that takes time away and interrupts his thought process while he's trying to design a bridge or something.
So long story short, communication needs to be improved. And you've touched on quite a few different aspects. A lot of them can have similarities in terms of they're all forms of electronic communication, whether it's email, whether it's file sharing, whether it's phones. One way or another, there's compatibility, there's communication challenges that you're having, and there's a lot of solutions that can be put in there. One of the other questions I have for you.
What are those? Because we need to get this going and fixed, because it's taken too much time for us to do anything.
Well, we can absolutely put that together, and there's quite a few different options. We'd have to do a little bit of discovery to determine exactly how much data you have, where your data points are, what types of data you have, just to ensure that we put the right solution in place for you. But there's quite a few cloud solutions that are out there which would give you the added.
Safe?
Sorry?
Is that safe?
Generally, cloud solutions are as safe as you make them and as safe as we make them. We put in the standard security. We also put in factors like two-factor authentication. So you have the added advantage with cloud solutions of not just having 1, 2, or 3 IT people working on them. You have major corporations with thousands of developers and thousands of engineers working on them. The cloud solutions are actually rated for, what's yours, HIPAA? HIPAA or SOX compliance. So not only are they used by businesses, but they're also receiving certifications and approvals for healthcare and for financial transactions. So
yeah, we don't do any of that. We design bridges and structural support systems.
Exactly. So when we look at that standard, if industry associations are approving them and rating them for medical information, then we look from that point and go, if they can meet that standard, they can provide the safety and security for any of those businesses. So we look at that as a very good token in their favor. And with that, we also look at the reliability of the companies and make sure that there's some redundancies and some resiliency in there for you. So if something does go sideways, you're taken care of, that there isn't downtime. And with that, we're able to ensure that there is cross-platform communication, that there are communication tools there, and files can be in a shared place that everybody can access.
Well, I don't want everybody to have access to everything, because what does my fabrication plant need with my accountant?
Sure. So what we can do is create delineations and permissions, so we can actually carve off segments of your business. So if you have a finance department, or if you have an HR department or an executive team, even if you had an executive team that was spread into the 3 different entities, we could actually carve it off so that only the executive team could access those segments of the business. And we can set it up such that it doesn't matter where that person is, whether that person's at home or at Starbucks. So your consulting team, if they're running in a small office and don't have much redundancy and their internet goes down, grab their laptops, grab that Apple laptop, head to Starbucks or head to your local coffee shop, fire up, and they can continue working. So we can create that form of resiliency for your organization as well.
Oh yeah, that'll be great, especially when we're traveling at the airport and the Wi-Fi always sucks. So
it does. And unfortunately, that's something that we're all along for the ride on, and there's that relevant. Sorry, chat messages popping up. No, I don't normally have chat up on sales calls.
Interruptions.
Interruptions happen. No, like one of the other ones is commiserating. Where was I going? Commiserating with the Wi-Fi in the airports. And depending on how important it is for you, some of our clients have actually gone out and got either just simply used tethering from their phones. So they've got their files synced to their laptop and they use tethering from their phones. Or we can get mobile hotspots for your team, as they can either check them out or we can assign them to people. So there are ways that we can create that resiliency. And it all boils down to the cost benefit analysis. When we look at it with you, we'll give you some costs, we'll give you some options, and we'll find a way to ensure that what you're doing is appropriately built into the cost for your business.
So what would something like this normally cost me?
In round numbers right now, I don't have a specific price. I'm going to put you, depending on the cost, in the $100 per employee range. And that'll take care of making sure that everything works for you, everything's accessible for you, and that you can continue running. So when we look at the cost of an engineer, and we're probably spending between 65 and 90,000 US for an engineer, guessing, not knowing the exchange in maple syrup dollars. When we look at the cost of an engineer, we're adding a marginal percentage to that cost to ensure that they're fully utilized at all times. We want to make sure that they're able to get as many hours of work out of their annual commitment as possible.
So at $100 an employee,
Did you model this off of a real client scenario?
no.
I was going, you were way too detailed with your list that I was going, that's way too specific.
Right.
I thought he was definitely using a real client.
Nope, not using a real client. I'm kind of making it up as I go. But these are scenario situations that I've seen with acquisitions of dissimilar organizations and stuff like that, where you need to standardize. And this is kind of the direction that I want you to go in. I'm trying to nudge you there as best I can, as trying to be the customer. Is that standardization, interconnectivity, and simplification are going to be the three major sales points for an organization that has completely dissimilar technology and lines of business. That's going to simplify the business process, which is going to streamline efficiency and save money. So $100 an employee, I'm pulling a number out of my head, 80 employees between three organizations, $96,000 a year. So as a business owner, this is what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to come at you and say, well, for $100,000 a year, why can't I just hire somebody to do it myself?
Absolutely. You're more than welcome, and that's your prerogative. However, okay. One of the advantages...
Shiva's calling me. Maybe he wants to apply. Shiva?
Yeah. Shiva can apply, and you're welcome to talk to him. And just remember that when he's sick or has vacation or is out shopping for a car, you're going to be down a person. Whereas what we do is we provide a team response that's backed up by a 24/7 on-call line. So this way you're covered, whether it's vacations or any other coverage you need. You also get the breadth of experience. So you're not just bringing on one generalist, you're bringing on the ability to access a team of resources that will cover you for that same cost. So whether you need somebody in a specific server instance, you need a Mac expert, you need a Windows expert, you need a network expert, you've got that additional coverage for the same cost as hiring one individual generalist.
Oh, so I get all of that for the same price. Okay. And then how much is it going to cost to, am I going to have to go out and buy everything all new again? I mean, our office here is pretty good, except that I just, we have a server in the back that we save everything to, and which is great when we're here. But the other guys, they don't have copies of anything. We can't access.
And we don't like to walk in. Sorry, I'm stealing Shiva's thing, or whoever it was earlier. We don't like to walk in and tell you that you have to replace everything. If what you've got is working, we can work with that. We can work within those constraints. There will be some small things that come up. There may be some equipment that we go through once we do a detailed audit and we find that it either needs to be replaced or it's going to be coming up end of life. And we'll give you some recommendations for that. That WRT 54G that you've got is excellent as a firewall. We might recommend replacing that in the next 1 to 2 hours. But what we do is we go through and we give you an estimated timeline so that you're not going to get blindsided. The last thing we want somebody to do is wake up tomorrow and have a $100,000 hardware replacement bill placed on their desk.
Yeah, that we don't want that either.
So one of the advantages we have with cloud solutions is you're buying into the shared resources in a cooperative type fashion that you're able to access greater resources because there's other companies and other people using that same type of system.
Well, we don't want other companies on our systems.
So with the segmentation and the security that again meets all the compliance regulations, you're able to get the benefit of that team effort, but you get your own carved out portion that's completely isolated to you and completely secure for you.
Okay. And then without going into details of the hows and whys, Stephen, how are we doing time-wise? No, we're just after 2 o'clock now.
Yeah, we usually go till 2:30. So I was going to
make
say
sure that other people have a chance to jump on. I know Shiva.
Yeah, I was going to say let's can you just sign the darn contract already, Greg? Jeez.
All right, next steps. What are we going to do next?
So what we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of paperwork together and we're going to make sure that we're all understanding exactly what we're doing from both sides of the equation.
Yeah, we can send you our standard NDA.
Yep, that's totally fine. We're happy to work with your standard NDA and we're going to cover the bases. We actually have a standard NDA in our agreement as well. So from that aspect, we're going to be double covered. We're never concerned about NDAs from any aspect because it's just what we do. It's how we work. So that's fine. And then we'll get the agreement in place and we'll go over it just to make sure that all the I's are dotted, all the T's are crossed, and we're aware of what we're doing. As much as we like to write things down, we like to make sure that verbally and face-to-face we're on the same page. And we'll make this happen for you. We'll make it smooth, we'll make it seamless, and we'll get it done.
Sounds good. Let's make that appointment. Talk to my secretary, and she'll set that up for you.
Perfect. I will see you in an hour.
Awesome. So
next steps, what I would have liked to have heard was that you'll come out and do an assessment of our environment so that you could create something that's standard efficient and then explain it to me at that point later how this is going to solve our problem. And I didn't get that out of the conversation.
I know a little bit of that I like to do. I like to gather it kind of at that point, yes, but a little bit of that is a little bit after the fact in terms of I flat out honestly don't like to blindside clients, but I also don't like to hand potential clients until signed a battle plan, for lack of a better term.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit of a balance. I'll give you some things, or I'll give you like a top 3 that anybody would give you. If there's anything obvious, like if there is legitimate justification for a new server and it's going to be $20,000, if there is legitimate justification for that, I'm not going to blindside you, and that's going to be up front. But if there's little things like you go around and you find, those stupid little plastic $15 10 base switches that people have under desks and things like that, if there's things like that, those get worked into down the road. If it's going to be on a contract of $96,000 a year and I have to replace 2 of those switches for $40 just to get something slightly better in, get gigabit, I'm just going to eat that on that level contract. It gets a little bit worked into the grand scheme of things, but we'll go around and it's a bit of a balance because my whole thing is not handing away the recipe card.
Right. So I think it's important though in this phase of the sales process is to communicate what the next steps would be. that you would need to come in or hopefully need to come in. Hopefully that's part of your process. Assess the current environment, talk about specific pain points within that environment, and then communicate how you can solve those solutions. So when I'm putting out that, one of the biggest problems we have is just being able to get somebody on the phone. A VoIP that's opens it right up there. Phone systems that are dissimilar and disconnected or don't even exist. We can set you up. One of the options that we have that would solve that problem would be, a VoIP system, and then 3 bullets on how a VoIP system closes that gap. Shameless plug. But yeah, and it's just nailing the problem, the concern. My sales approach is identify the problem, and then present how you solve that problem. Not sell somebody something. Nobody wants to talk to a salesman. Everybody hates salesmen. Nobody's going to pick up the phone if you're a salesman. But if you can solve a problem, and you can feel how you are qualified to solve that problem, and the instant that problem is presented to you, you have their attention.
Well, and that's
what drives my sales conversations.
And I don't know if you were on at the very beginning when Steve did my maple syrup exchange rate.
No, I missed
it. My outbound sales, inbound sales close rate is high, but it's small. And one of the things that I believe is the advantage is not approaching it from a sales point of view, approaching it from a technical, but I can translate and speak your language point of view, and really removing the sales perspective from the conversation. It's more of a solutions perspective. We're
Right.
coming in for solutions, and sales is a byproduct of that, as opposed to I'm coming in for sales and I'm going to sell you on a solution.
Exactly. Your service, your value add, your solution is going to sell itself.
Which I think, I don't know if it was in the last straw poll or if we did a straw poll, the majority of the people in this room and in this group, the ongoing, are on more of the technical end of the spectrum as opposed to the sales end of the spectrum, which is an advantage as long as you can paraphrase it or translate it without dumbing it down or making the person feel that it's done that way.
Right.
Excellent. So, Shiva, do you have anything else you'd like to add to any of this?
Nope.
Good. No offense. All right, guys. Thank you, Ian and Greg. I appreciate that, both of you. Let's see here. Ed, are you available and paying attention? Maybe. Ed's a strong maybe. Nope, Ed's not here. Dave.
Yep.
Dave is here. And then the gentleman who used to be Vera Virus Tech, who changed his name to Daniel Buchanan. I think
I was never Vera.
You were at one point in here.
Your name was Vera on Zoom.
Oh, I know. I'm just trolling. Yeah, it's all good.
Oh, okay. I think Daniel should try to sell to Dave.
Try being the operative word. I'm a terrible salesperson, so I'll probably swing and miss. So you all have a lot of things that you can correct me on, so I can learn a lot from this.
Perfect. I'm not the only one then.
Right. Yeah, I applaud the opportunity to look like an idiot in front of everybody. So
Excellent. Dave, what kind of company are you that he's pitching?
Daniel, I apologize in advance for what's coming your way.
bring it, baby.
More brutal than mine?
No, I don't think so. Okay, company. Let me think of a recent interaction that would be
Why don't you think of your biggest client? That way you've got someone in mind.
okay. I'm in. We're a consulting firm. We do small business, actually mid-sized business consulting.
Okay, awesome.
His largest client is himself, everyone.
Yeah,
no,
right.
I didn't say IT consulting, but it does include IT consulting. And this is not one of my clients; it's someone else I'm thinking of. We'll say that. But what we do is, say you're a mid-size or even an enterprise corporation that needs a SOX audit, or you need an interim CFO or CIO or anything like that. We're the ones that'll provide you that until you get going, or as long as you need us. Dude, I'm
Sweet.
selling myself. Nice.
How long y'all been in business?
As this company, let's say 3 years.
3 years. Where are y'all located?
We're all over. We're based out of South Florida, but we have consultants all over the place.
Okay, so how many people work out of your South Florida office?
5,
And how many people work remotely?
50.
Cool. And what sort of software do y'all work in your business?
We use Office 365 for our cloud. We use a third-party Dropbox-like product. I'm not going to say the name because I don't want to specify the client. It's pretty unique. It's a Citrix product. And we use some online time management software, and we use one of those online free CRMs.
Cool. So do your employees all use your hardware that you provide them, or do they just bring their own devices?
Mix and match.
Mix and match. Do you all have IT in place now?
We do.
Cool. You have somebody on staff, or are you working with another company?
No, we work with another company. Okay, sorry. We work with another company that we call them as we need them. They do some basic stuff for us in terms of keeping an eye on things, and when we need them, we call them up, and they bill us for it.
Oh, basically, if something breaks, you guys give them a call and they fix it.
Not exactly. They monitor our stuff. They're responsible for the basics. But when we have questions and stuff, we call them up and they bill us.
Cool. So you're not paying them anything per month then?
We are. That's part of the monitoring that they're doing for us.
Oh, okay, I got you. So you're paying them for basic monitoring, and then anything above and beyond that,
yep,
they're just billing you for.
They also do our Office 365.
Oh, okay, cool. So they're providing that for you all. So what makes you want to look around? Why are you exploring the market?
Nothing. You called me.
Oh, oh, that's right. I forgot I did call you. Jesus.
No, he's not on the call.
Oh gosh.
So what do you guys do?
We're a small MSP in Knoxville, Tennessee, and we focus on legal and.
What's an MSP?
What's that?
What's an MSP?
An MSP. Sorry, we provide IT services for companies. They give us their specifications, and we try to come up with a solution custom tailored to their needs that enables them to have more productive employees, to be able to work on the field, in the field, increase functionality, be more competitive, have less downtime. So just better peace of mind for the business owner. So, and what's your role?
Basically the same thing we have now.
Something like that, similar, except we sort of have a unique way of doing things that we've kind of stumbled into over the years after making many years of mistakes. So we kind of have our sort of golden way of doing things. And usually we come in and we see a lot of other companies that are sort of doing things the way they prescribe, and it ends up being problematic at times. I mean, there's generally a reason that people are looking around. So
you're learning from your mistakes and perfecting the recipe by practicing on clients like we would be one of.
No, nothing like that. We've had a pretty good run of things here in the last couple of years. I think we've got it down to a science. So I feel like we have a really unique approach to IT. One of the things people like about us is that they can call us up and talk to us on the phone, and they don't feel like we're talking above their heads, like we're we're just not super nerding out with them on the phone, that they can understand what we're saying. And that's something that people generally tend to appreciate.
You speak English, not nerd.
We do speak English for the most part. Yep. And so that's what we do. With your people that are in the field, how do you all communicate with them? Primarily via email?
Either via email or Skype.
Oh, okay. So you all use Skype for your inner office. You guys using Yammer or anything like that, or the Teams?
We do use Yammer as well, yes.
Cool. How you like that?
Pretty cool.
That's awesome. So, like, what keeps you up at night?
I'm trying really hard not to make a joke here.
Besides your
Irritable bowel
No.
syndrome.
Growing the business, we're responsible for some major things and some major corporations, and we've been rapidly growing for the last year or so, and just keeping up.
So, just what you worry about things like slipping through the cracks, maybe sometimes.
Just gaining more business.
Yeah,
That's really what keeps me up at night.
I got you. Well, like, what's stopping you from doing that?
Nothing. We're going. I mean, we're going at it. It's just, it's a process that needs to be completed. Frankly, we don't really need IT. We provide IT services to these businesses. We just need someone to keep our own house in order, and it's easier to outsource that than bring one of our guys, which we bill out at far more expensive than we pay the existing IT company to do for us.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that sounds impressive. You guys hiring?
We are.
Awesome. Well, no, I'm joking about that. I mean, with your company now, I mean, like for the monitoring, is that something you're happy with? Is that the monthly cost? Is that too much? Is it not enough? I mean, do you feel like they're providing all of the services that you need?
Yeah, I mean, listen, they're not as big as we'd like for them to be. We don't know if they're going to be able to keep up with us. They're a small business, but they're so far so good. And by the way, this is where you shot yourself in the leg. You said you were also a small business. So what I just said, you're in the same boat now.
Oh, I know. I already realized that as soon as I said it, I couldn't take the words back, but.
Yeah. Try not to say that. That's one thing I learned. I happen to actually be communicating with the same exact customer. I'm saying I was having some payment issues with them. I said, listen, we're a small business. We can't be your bank. And the guy's response was, we need a bigger business to deal with.
Yeah.
At which point he said, okay, we'll be the bank.
Yeah.
But you got to be careful with the small business stuff. Depending on your target client, they will turn that against you.
Mm-hmm. So you're talking at about 55 clients is what you're looking at, or I'm sorry, 55 users on your network. You all share files through Office 365 now, which is provided from your previous or your current IT service provider. I mean, are there any problems that you come across? I mean, is there anything that you don't feel like is happening the way it should be?
No, I mean, things have been running smoothly. They're, we call them and they're there. Everything's hunky-dory, no problems. Happy, go lucky,
All systems go. This is weird. I'm not sure how I would have gotten on the phone with a person that's this happened with their existing IT. I guess I should be happy that I am, but you know what I mean? Like, that's what I was saying. I was trying to throw out there like, hey, why did you all call? What are you looking for? Trying to build some kind of, usually people are always looking for something either to save money or to get better services. I mean, like.
This was a cold call, right?
Conversation. Oh, I don't cold call. Maybe I should be. Was that another webinar?
This is part 2. Part 1 was cold calling.
Damn it. All right. Well, I'll watch that YouTube video next. I just finished the HIPAA one. It was awesome, Steve. You rock.
Thanks. I know. I mean, I appreciate that, man. All right. So,
hey, dudes.
So I was picking on you throughout your whole thing, Daniel. So, I heard I could be misquoting the end. We try to come up with specifications to meet their needs when you were talking about how you are unique and you're helping your customers. And I think you were basically saying we custom tailor our solutions, but you said we try.
Yeah. This freaking this client, I'm not sure I would be going after. They sound like they're way big for me now where I'm at. We've been focusing on pretty small. That's just the current level of where we're at. Like our biggest client is maybe 30 or 35, I think is where they're at. So that puts me.
There's nothing wrong with shooting for the stars, man.
Yeah. No. I get it. But as far as like even managing a managed service provider, that's pretty meta right there too. So, but it's awesome though. It's a good challenge, right? It's the toughest client. I know there's been a couple of clients that I've gotten recently where it's like, holy crap, if I can get these guys, I can get anybody because they're basically me. So,
a few other things I heard you say, many years of mistakes.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, no, that was not a good call.
I was like, holy cow.
thank you. Yes, thank you.
And then shortly after that, when Dave called you on
lawsuits later, here we are.
and then shortly after Dave called you on it, and you're like, oh, we've had a pretty good run. And I heard, yeah, nobody figured out we've screwed anything up recently.
Yeah.
and then you asked him if he's hiring because he said we bill out a lot more than our current MSP charges.
Yeah. I was just playing along at that point because it's like, good gracious, I feel like can you get the check? I mean, it's like, but cool. Yeah, I guess it's good to go up against the brick wall of clients. So Dave, what'd you end up doing? You sold them, man. How'd you sell it? Tell us all your secrets.
Oh, with these guys?
Yeah.
I got in there when they were small. I got in there when they were first starting out, and it works. It's a good relationship. Again, the finance side of it has been a bit of a challenge because, we see differently on when a bill is due. But outside of that, things are pretty good. They get great support. They call. Someone answers a call right away. Their average ticket close time is maybe less than 2 hours.
I see.
Yeah, they're happy, and they, we actually did a exchange migration for them. They were on an IMAP provider.
Yeah.
And we brought them over to 365. We did about 40 something mailboxes with zero downtime, zero issues.
Sweet.
Everything got brought right over, and these are guys that were all over the country, just out in the field, and everything just got taken care of. And this is with a very small staff.
Oh, good times. So you were the company that I was bidding against, in other words.
Yep.
Well, all right then. So that was like a lose-lose. There was no way I could have won that, possibly. We'll do it for free. Tell you what, we'll pay you if we can do it.
Well, what you never asked was what we're paying.
I was getting to that. Yeah, that's where I was going to go. I was going to be like, well, what are they charging you per seat a month? That was going to be a next question.
That would have been my question that immediately followed. It's cheaper for us to outsource this because we charge more than our current guys are charging us.
I ain't talking about money because, like, especially money as far as like I'm trying to underbid you or whatever. I was trying to get at what the value that IT would provide and that what problems that the business owner had in their mind and how we could somehow solve that problem. I mean, that's where I was trying to go with my line of questions and just asking tons of questions and trying to get them to talk more.
Honestly, I think if you were to get the client on the phone right now, the only thing they would say is we want more than net 30 billing. That's really what I think they would say, which I've catered to. I've
give you net 60.
Yeah, exactly. That's really the only way I think you could win them is just that. They're pretty fine tuned. I'm not saying nobody's invincible, but
yeah,
they're in pretty good shape.
Well, fantastic. Great job, guys. Shiva, I gotta ask, do you have anything that you would have added to any of that?
No, I think it's difficult doing these kinds of role plays because there's no context for anything.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, I think that everyone did pretty well.
Good. I want to do one more. I'm just going to go down the list here to see who's available. I know Errol said you wanted to do one, right?
Sure.
Okay. Cindy, are you game to be the company that Errol is selling to? Awesome.
All right, I'm in.
All right. So Cindy, feel free to tell Errol about, I don't know, like one of your biggest clients or something that way you've kind of got something in your mind, so that way he knows who he's trying to pitch.
Before you do that, where are we in the sales process? The first call or the second?
So like last Thursday, you cold called her, and today is
Okay.
Tuesday, and you showed up for your first meeting.
Yeah, so this is a face-to-face. I think a lot of these have been like over the phone almost a little bit, but this is supposed to be a face-to-face, we're on site type meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, correct? Okay, I missed last week, so I'm just wondering. Okay.
It's okay. I forgive you.
What industry or business are you in? I know you're going to ask the questions, but I should know that ahead of time.
Yeah. I will do a mock as a construction company.
Okay.
We'll say that they have about 15 employees, and most of them work remotely. And they do not currently have a IT provider, nor do they necessarily see the need for one.
Okay. So we're sitting down, and now you're saying, I'm offering, you don't have IT, you're a construction company with 15 remote users. And now I'm sitting down and going, okay, this is what we can offer.
Yeah, basically. You just kind of reached out to me, proposing that we sit down and have a chat about how you might be able to help us out. And we're just kind of maybe a little skeptical that we even need help. We don't even know that we need help.
Okay. So how do you feel that your computer and systems are running right now?
They seem to be running just fine. We haven't had any issues really, and everything seems to be running smoothly.
Okay. How many computers do you have in your office there?
Well, we have about 5 computers in our office, but that's just in our office. We have employees who work remotely.
When they're remote, are they on job sites?
They're either on job sites or they are working from home.
Okay. When they are on job sites, do they have any pain points as far as technically? Is there information that they could need, but they're not getting it because they don't have a method of getting it, where they would have to go back to the office to get it? Maybe bidding information, possibly some construction costs, or just contacting their electricians or their plumbers. Are any of that a pain point that you see right now that could use some sort of improvement?
I suppose there could be some room for improvement there. They tend to be doing okay right now, but there are some, I guess, efficiencies that could be built in.
Okay. Some mistakes, and what we've seen in the past with other industries of construction is that every contractor and every remote person decides to start using their own type of communications. So now you have people on different email systems, different chat systems, calling each other, a lot of double data entry that really slows down productivity. What I would recommend is a one standardized system for your office and for all of your remote home workers and for your people who are on the job. This would be a standardized way for everyone to communicate, so there's nothing missed with intercommunications. Something possibly like an Office 365 Teams group, maybe a Skype where everyone can communicate over their phone. They can even use their cameras while on the job to show a project that they're working on, to even show a design of tile that they need for a certain bathroom. All that would be one simple communication form where everyone would know how to use it. And come in with a partner to us, we can offer that to you. In addition to communications, even though you may not be a high security environment like healthcare or law, we put you on that standard for your security. We do not want the competitors to see your information and the way you do things or your accounting. So we provide a high stack of security with a product that we call Sophos. This product provides a heartbeat within all of your devices. I can go in more details about that later, but it is the best product we've ever worked with in the past 15 years. All that is standard, and we don't want anything to get scrambled. So we are what's called an MSP. We provide managed services, and we pay for all those subscriptions, all the licensing, and we keep it organized to you so that everything is standard, everything is organized, and that you have one payment source, and that is us. It also includes all the support, all the installation, and all the onboarding for us to be your partner.
it sounds kind of expensive. I mean, you're building in what sounds like a lot of stuff there. And we don't really pay any monthly fees right now. I'm not sure that we're ready to take on like a big monthly fee for IT, since it's not really broken, you know?
No, I understand. If it's not broken, why fix it? We're not here to necessarily repair your problems. We're here to partner with you to make sure the growth, the communications, and the productivity remain the same or get much better. And when you see that the devices we provide you with and the software and the support is better than the rest, you'll see that the productivity and everything with those lines goes up. When you see that value, your cost of our monthly services will start to become much less of a concern in your budget.
Okay, so as far as the productivity goes, I guess I'm just confused as like, I understand that the employees would have a way to communicate a little bit better, but how would that differ from, them being able to text each other or call each other when they're out in the field? Because that just seems to be working right now.
So a little bit, I would hopping off the role play. I would maybe even have a little demo of a laptop showing ways I can synchronize, like if I had a box synchronization or a office calendar synchronization. I would start going into that, because now I'm going to need to start, since she's kind of getting it but not, I would have to start showing something tangible. That's what I would do next in my sales process, and have that prepared and ready. Because now I've already talking and spoken. I need to hop off the salesman a little bit and be more of the tech and demonstration. So that's what I would be doing right now. And let's say I did that and it looks kind of cool. You're either going to say this is stupid or wow, this is awesome. We do not do this. So demonstrations in a sales pitch should be ready to some extent, I believe. But I probably would have gotten over the phone going to this meeting that you're kind of uncertain and you think everything is okay. And I would have had this demonstration ready already. Sure.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
So
you've been demonstrated. Any other questions? I don't know.
So Errol, that was a very long spiel that you gave to her.
Sure.
And it also seemed like you were reading it from a script.
Maybe because I've done it. So I don't know. That's not an excuse. Just because I've, you do it so many times that you kind of find the best words that fit you and use them over and over again. Maybe that's why.
And that's not a problem, but it was like, it almost felt and sounded like I was reading from a piece of paper, and I wanted to make sure that I said all of these words exactly the way that I wrote them. Period.
Sure. Okay. I see what you're saying.
Punctuation mark. My bad.
Absolutely. Okay.
What you also got to realize is it's hard for him to really break it up. There's no inflection from speaking with her. This is all, pretty contrived. So if it were in a real world scenario, he may very well have delivered it in a way that was appealing and appeasing to the client.
Sure.
And Jonathan said, cut it up. You were going for 4 minutes and I phased out. And I was
trying to hit everything, just being 5 seconds of knowing she's a construction company.
I think
right.
You got to be quick and you got to be concise in what you do, because none of these people in charge want to sit there and be your friend and hang out. You got to get in, get out clean, as long as they understand what you're going to be leaving behind.
Sure.
The piece that I've taken away from a few people is that, the average person can only maintain focus on anything for 10 to 30 seconds. So anything more than 30 seconds and you're just wasting your breath. So I try and do, when I'm in a sales call, I only ask questions. I don't really go into big detail. I provide fact sheets and I pretty much just only ask questions. But
Yeah, absolutely. Most of the time, I already know this second meeting, because we do so much marketing and not really sales. A lot of people come to us, so they have a pain point. There's some sort of pain point, and usually that's the focus. But a lot of times, I'll even try to find while they're an even greater pain point, like dental office calls, and they say, well, their computers are slow. Well, yeah, we can see why your computers are slow, but you're doing nothing for HIPAA compliance. Isn't that also a concern? So, and if it's true, I mean, it's true. So now you've piled on a couple other things and shown your knowledge, and that helps as well. But really knowing as much as you can ahead of the time is definitely.
Do you use like a click funnel or something like that to do your marketing so that you're bringing in more people?
I've spent so much time converting my break fix in the past months. I've kind of let my marketing sales fall behind. My big things in the past have been chambers, mailers. What else? Mainly chambers and events, networking groups, not groups, but networking, mailers. Because we did one mailer because we're doing the hardware as a service, is I was focusing towards large law firms where maybe a few partners wanted to break away and start their own firm. So what we did is the mailers were starting your own firm, no upfront costs, and you can have all this new IT right at your, something like that. So that was kind of a more specific marketing we did and got some calls on. So maybe a little more direct mailers.
You said you did a lot of chambers. Were you in multiple chambers, like one for one town and one for another town that you happen to do business in, but you're not located in?
Oh yeah. At some point I'll be 6 or 7 chambers at once.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. I am not doing that.
I mean, that was more the case maybe 2 years ago when there was more time for the marketing. Because chambers, the most expensive part is your time and going to these events.
I have a question for you, Earl. What kind of benefit have you actually realized from being in all of these chambers, much less one?
The benefit is sticking with them in the actual face-to-face networking events, whether it's a after hours or a breakfast, is if you show face, people remember you and talk to you. Just simply being in a chamber and in their website list has zero benefit. So you're going to not only have to be in the chamber, your cost of time going to these events also has to be considered.
No, I understand that.
If you do that over and over, people will talk to you, and then you get the call, hey, this guy from the chamber recommended you.
Okay.
Because they see you more and more during these events.
Okay.
Another last quick tip is expos. Like there's optometric expos in our area. So, and eye doctor associations. So, we'll gear an expo and all of our stuff towards HIPAA compliance, IT, and, what we can do for them. So maybe a targeted type of expo. That's all marketing more than this webinar.
So, Errol, I hate to cut you off. However, we've gone over our time for the day. I want to thank you all for attending. If you want to continue having this conversation, hop into the Zoom room. I'll put the link here in the chat right now. We've got that room going 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So you are always welcome to come in and have conversations with other IT guys and talk nerdy to each other.
See you guys in there.
Take care, Shiva. So things we've got coming up tomorrow, we have a very special webinar with IT Boost. IT Boost is going to come in, give us a demo of their product, and tell everyone about the sweet MSP Webinars exclusive price that we've worked out. If you're looking for a documentation platform, you should be at tomorrow's webinar. And then Thursday, if you are a ConnectWise Automate Lab Tech, if you guys use Lab Tech, you should be on Thursday's webinar. We're going to have Brian Kelly, the owner of Comprehensive MSP, he's going to come on and show us the best way to do patch management using LabTech. So that's everything for today. So if you're watching this on YouTube, thanks so much for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe. Go to mspwebinars.com to learn more about everything we've got going on. And I do hope that you subscribe to my Patreon. Thanks so much, and I'll see you at the next webinar. Take care.